Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
Yes, it's me, Egbert. As the new owner of this station, I want to make sure we have the best talent on the air. That's why I've decided to ban all real estate agents and only have real talkers like Brad and John. Here they are, B and J.
Thank God for no real talkers and no real estate agents here.
Absolutely none.
Yes, it is the Brad and John Show, bjshow.co. Did I get it right?
There we go, Brad. It's
okay.
Right there.
I haven't used it so far this week, and I've been working on this, so I'm gonna try to make a phone call here. Let me see if this is going to work.
Right.
I have to turn this up, do this, hit this. No, hold on. I have to do this. Right here. Let's see if this is going to work. No, it's not going to. Okay, it is working. Okay, now, let me do something. Can you hear the phone call now, John?
I can, yeah, very clearly.
Okay, hold on a minute.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air, so no potty mouth, okay?
All right.
Okay, something came up. I don't know if you know this or not, I don't know if I told you this or not, but I'm doing a new show with John Combest, and it's called The BJ Show, bjshow.com, Brad and John, okay? So last week, I told the story of taking you and Brian to a wrestling match at a high school. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my son, Brett, by the way. Okay. So you do remember this, correct?
Yeah, it was a WCW show.
Okay. The interesting thing about this is John is a wrestling aficionado. Okay. Now, remember what happened, and people are going to think that I've made this up. Remember what happened when you and Brian both were like astonished at what you saw. Do you remember this part of the story?
Yeah, when the guy threw that right hook about 6 inches from the other guy's face, and he went flying across the ring.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I told this story on the air, and John Combest, being the wrestling aficionado, took issue with me and was going like, there's no way you saw WCW at a high school. Okay.
I believe it was, who was the Mustang? Mustangs is Parkway North?
Parkway West.
I thought it was Parkway West. Okay, Parkway West.
It might be West. I forget which one is the Mustangs, but yeah, it was one of the Parkways.
Yeah, one of the Parkways. I said the same thing.
You know what? That might have been Marquette, because Marquette are the Mustangs.
Was it a Marquette? No, I don't think
Parkway
it was.
West are the Longhorns.
No,
they're on Clayton Road. And Marquette is on Clarkson.
It was on Clayton Road. Okay, so here's the interesting thing, Brett. John, being the wrestling aficionado, has some what's the name of that website, John?
It's cagematch.net.
cagematch.net. He has the list of the wrestlers that were there that night. And do you know who the long-headed blonde guy was? Do you remember this?
I don't remember.
His name was Sting. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the bizarre part of the story. One of the other guys we saw in a tag team match, and what was his name at the time, John?
Stunning Steve.
Stunning Steve. Do you know who that was?
Mm-mm.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, so we saw minor league Sting and minor league Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right. We saw Steve
before they were stars. Sting was a star, but Austin certainly wasn't the level that he ended up being.
So we saw a guy who was Sunny Steve, who ultimately became Stone Cold Steve Austin. You and I are sitting, we're like, what? I said second or third row back, wasn't it? We're like real close to the ring. We were like within 10 feet of the ring, weren't we? Weren't we that close?
Yeah, it was ringside floor seats.
Yes, and
incredible.
He says, according to the source, there were only 550 people there. And he says the interesting part of this is John telling me this story yesterday. The interesting part of this story is a new guy took over WCW Wrestling, which was owned by Ted Turner. And he said, okay, we're not doing these high school gymnasiums. We're not doing these small things anymore. We were one of the last people ever to see these guys wrestle like on a small scale venue. Is that incredible or what?
That is pretty wild, and that's a little depth to that story you were telling.
And John, what was the date again? John's got the exact date. What was the date?
It was January 22nd, 1993, so it was 31 years ago on the 22nd.
January 22nd, 1993. You were 9, right? Would that be right? In 93, you were?
Would have been 8 going on 9.
Holy cow. Man, and I've told this story before. When I told the story on the air last week, John didn't believe me.
I thought there was no way that Ted Turner's and I was a huge wrestling fan during this era, and I don't remember them coming to St. Louis because clearly they didn't do the arena or anything like that. I couldn't believe that they would do a show in a high school gym.
They're out at Parkway. So, okay, Brett, so your memory – see, the crazy thing about it is I told this story, and you know, I'm getting to be an old guy. You know that. I'm in my 80s now. And you know, it's to the point where I'm glad you have essentially, you know, backed me up on the whole crazy story. And it was you and Brian. And I remember after Sting threw that punch and it missed. What was the guy's name? What was John's name?
Big Van Vader. It was Big Van Vader.
Big Van Vader missed him by 6 inches, and you would have thought that guy got hit in the head with a sledgehammer the way he went across the ring, right?
Oh yeah, it looked like somebody hit him in the face with a cinder block.
Right, he just went backwards, and both you and Brian looked at me and go almost so like in one, you know, chorus. He didn't hit him.
And you know what? If that happened today, Brett, you would have put that on TikTok, and everybody around the world would be like, "Could you believe that Van Vader missed him by 6 inches?"
Right, he missed him. Okay, Brett, have you survived the storms down there?
Yeah, it's still pretty windy, running sustained 13 to 15 mile an hour winds with 30 mile an hour gusts, but it's the worst of it was Monday.
Did you actually have tornado in Pensacola, or someplace else? So is that Panama City?
That was Panama City, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hours east of here.
Yeah. That's near Tallahassee, isn't it?
Kind of. I mean, it's south of Tallahassee. It's Panama City's down on the coast, and then Tallahassee's kind of up right off of Interstate 10.
That's right. Yeah, if you keep going through Pensacola, ultimately you ran into Tallahassee on Interstate 10, correct?
Yeah, because the coastline kind of dips.
Right, and if you
swing south, and then I-10 stays, you know, almost due east-west.
And if you go east on Interstate 10 out of Pensacola, you run into Buc-ee's, right?
West, you run into Buc-ee's.
That's right. West, you run into Buc-ee's. I'm sorry. West, you run into Buc-ee's. Okay, Brett, have a good day. Say hi to Jamie Faria. I love you.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye. See, he remembers it as well, too.
Incredible. But you know, seriously, let's go back to that for a minute. If that was on TikTok today, it would be, imagine how viral that would be.
Well, but see, more than ever, and we talked about this in our, first or second segment, the Hunter Biden thing. More than ever, everybody is playing to the camera. Everybody is playing to the camera.
It's all theatrics. Right. It's all kabuki, like we say here.
Right. It's just all, you know, and the crazy thing about this is that we all get sucked in. And, you know, it's...
You can't look away.
Well, and it's all like WWE. Like, you talk about all these crazy things. You say, what was the thing you said the other day? And I'm going like, well, you saw a meat person or something?
A meat shield.
A meat shield. I never heard that. Is that wrestling talk?
No, it's really kind of relationship talk. It's using people, and I think it came from, I'm not a gamer, but I think it came from the gaming industry. But it's when people use, and think of the guys you've known throughout your life, Brad, that want to do something and then they kind of don't, and then they're like, well, I can't because my wife ain't gonna let me. So they're using their wife as a meat shield, is what you're saying? Yeah, their wife or their kids, they're using it. And by the way, there's another term that if you're in an argument with somebody, Brad, online, and you want to prove that you're a better person than them, and you say, hey, I don't know about you, but I'm a success because look at me, I have kids. Those are called F trophies. F trophies? Yeah, and so the F stands for a bad word. But it means like, hey, look, I found a woman and I procreated, and look at these trophies I got from it. And guess what? You don't, because you're single or you don't have kids or whatever. Hold on a minute now. I'm gonna go to the official source in that one. Yeah, look it up. And it was coined by my second favorite author in the men's space, a guy named Ryan Stone, R-I-A-N, Ryan Stone. Look up, and you know, Brad, I know you don't like to do this stuff on a company computer, but if you look up that bad word and the word trophies, and then you look up Ryan Stone, R-I-A-N Stone, here it is. But so it's used, you see it a lot in online debates, and liberals do it, conservatives do it.
I got news for you. If I go to Urban Dictionary, it says, sorry, we can't find F trophy. But now if I put in the whole word, let's do that, it probably shows up.
Well, also, Urban Dictionary is a lagging indicator, Brad.
A lagging indicator.
So Urban Dictionary will have things months after they've actually entered the vernacular. So like I said, I would suggest you look up that phrase and then add Ryan Stone, R-I-A-N, Stone, and you'll see it used in context.
Here we go.
By the way, while Brad consults the Googles, for folks who are wondering who the best male content creator is, it's a guy named Rollo Tomasi. And you can just look up the rational male. If you have a young male in your life, let's say that's puberty and above, the first book you should get to them, besides the Holy Bible, obviously, the second book you should get them is anything from the Rational Male series of books. How do you raise a man in today's gynocentric environment? The Rational Male will tell you.
Okay. I'm going to say something that's going to shock you.
Yes?
Over the past 48 hours, I have made a decision in my life.
Okay.
And I'm going to call someone today. I will tell you who that person is. His name is Chris Heifel. He's the lead pastor for Grace River Church. If you know the story with Chris Heifel, interesting story. Was not a church, as he talked about. They were not a church family when he grew up. He grew up in Springfield, someplace around Springfield, Missouri, southwest corner of the state, and did not go to church. As a matter of fact, his parents did. I think his parents openly said they didn't necessarily believe in God. One day, 10 plus years ago, Chris uproots his family, comes here to St. Louis area, decides he's going to start a church, okay? And now he has a big monster church, and he's been very successful. I'm going to start a church.
You are? Wow. Now, wait a minute, Brad. I'm going to cut to the chase. This is for tax breaks, isn't it?
John, why would you ever, are you essentially questioning my belief in the man upstairs?
No, but I'm questioning your use of tax breaks because I think you want to be just like St. Louis Public Radio and others, and I think you want to be free from taxation, which we all do. I hope I didn't step on your punchline, but go ahead.
No punchline. I'm really going to do this.
So is this really going to be the Church of Brad?
I've already registered the domain name. I already bought it. Matter of fact, I bought 2 domain names.
Can you tell us what they are?
Not yet, because I may try to even copyright them. Matter of fact, I may even try to trademark them, because of the fact that when I tell you the name, you're going to go, oh my God, you're going to go, OMG, you're going to say, I will one day say, I used to do a show with Brad. When I'm flying around in my corporate jet, which it won't be my corporate jet, it'll be my God jet. Like, what's the guy? We used to have the
God show.
No, we used to have the drop. What was the guy's name? The guy who said, I don't want to be in a long tube, because he had a private jet.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be in a long tube with a bunch of heathens. What was his name?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And then it's funny. Then he denied saying that. An Inside Edition reporter sort of ambushed him at his airport. He has his own private airport, by the way. Did you know that? What's the heck is his name?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he has his own private.
Tell me more about the church. And hold on, Brad. I hope that it's not named after the show. I hope it's not the Church of BJ. No. Because that sounds like something that you would purchase using a credit card online.
No. This is. I'm serious about this. I'm going to make a call today because Chris Heifel belongs to a group that their job is to help foster new churches, just like this group help him. If you know the whole story, he started out having like ceremonies in his kitchen at his house, and then they got more people and they moved to the living room, and then they outgrew his house, and then they moved to, I think, John Weldon Elementary School, the cafeteria, and then they moved to the YMCA in O'Fallon, and then they finally bought their own building, and now they're in there. Then they bought a building, but a third of the building was being used by Barnes Care, and they kicked Barnes Care out, and now they're completely remodeling the building, and the entire building right there on 70 on Veterans Memorial Parkway, about midway between that would be between Salt River, 79, whatever you want to call it, and Billu Creek / T.R. Hughes Boulevard. They're on the south side. They're right up the street from a couple of car
so you're
dealers.
saying that this guy does essentially business development for the church?
Yeah, well, that's what he does.
Okay, so this sounds, by the way, a lot like some broad on Facebook that would try to sell essential oils, or a guy trying to sell you Amway.
John, you are being very.
Are we gonna meet up with this guy and he's like, let me tell you a little something. You're already buying vitamins. Why don't you buy vitamins from somebody, and then you get somebody else to buy vitamins and you get some of their money?
John.
And by the way, my wife sells essential oils.
John, don't go outside today because you might be hit by a lightning bolt. Okay.
You know what, Brad? If I was gonna do anything that would have started about 1977, I've been deserving it since then.
You don't want to be blown out of your shoes by a lightning bolt, so be careful.
And this message has been brought to you by the Church of BJ.
Okay, we got to go. Say goodbye, John.
Bye.